Oh, it's good to be back. It
All right.
is good to be back. Yes.
yes. Oh, I got a week's reprieve from Justin. And all it took was the longest reigning monarch in British history to die in order for me to get a week off from Justin.
I know. I
Are
know.
we?
Well, listen, our guest has managed to log in and he's joining us now.
Holy moly! Hey, victory!
Hello, Francis.
sorry
Tell
about
me
that.
you can hear us.
I can hear you okay.
Excellent,
Well.
Francis. Excellent.
Sorry about the technical issues there.
That's
all right.
right.
On the night, all the stuff beforehand, all is forgiven. Nothing is a
Always
problem.
forgiven.
As long as we come on the air, everything's fine. Now, hope that's water you're drinking.
Yeah, it is the water of life.
That's better. That's okay. That's good. Now we've kind of been off for. It's only been off for a week, but it feels a lot longer. And tonight we're going to hit on. We're going to do the news, and then we're going to come back and talk about Poitín, because
Sounds good.
it's Francis is running a Poitín festival. If you'd have said this a few years ago, people would have thought this was a very clandestine affair. Not anymore, Francis. We've brought it to the masses, out in the open where it should be.
Yeah, you're bang on. As you said, 4 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible at all. But the quality of liquid is there now, and the interest is there now. So it's time to bring Poitín into the light.
Poitín into the light. We're going to do the news, and then we're going to come back to you, Francis. All right. So just you wait in the green room. You sound very technical. Just you stay there and listen to us whittering away for a wee bit, and then then we'll
be back with you. All right. Stay there. All right.
Cool.
Now, we're not going to do the news jingle for obvious reasons this week.
Oh, yes. Zuckerberg got us. Zuckerberg nails us every time now. Every week, there's a copyright claim on free music. And the thing is, they always let us away with it. They always say, oh, no, very sorry. But they still bring it up every bloody week, you know?
Yes. I know that. It's going ballistic here tonight. Everybody's missed us. Look, everybody's getting a mention. Eric Van Eyden's there, Patrick Mulkey's there, John McDougall's there. Remember, if you're watching, remember to comment, like, and share. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitch, we're on Telegram as well, I think. Yeah, we are. We are on Telegram, but nobody ever gets in touch, and nobody ever watches it. You know, several thousand people can watch it, but nobody ever watches in Telegram for some reason, which is bizarre. And Twitch, you know, nobody ever watches.
Oh, don't worry.
Twitch.
You'll be telling me we're doing it on MySpace and all that next.
Yeah, it's mostly for gamers. MySpace, that was years ago. I'm surprised to even know what MySpace is.
I'm very hip on all the techno stuff. I've been listening to you for years, whittering away. Some of it is rubbed off.
I know, it's good. Francis Levy, he's got pals watching already. Connor Lavelle's watching tonight. So hi, he's saying hi to you, Francis. Now let me see. Let's see. Yes, they missed us. William's saying he missed us. Yeah, he is.
Excellent. Excellent.
And everybody's talking to each other now. They don't even talk to us; they talk to each other. You know, they'll be selling bottles to each other then, and then we'll no.
Not allowed to do that. You must have carry a license to sell alcohol in the UK and Ireland. So please remember that. Please drink responsibly as well. Anyway, how are we going to introduce the news now, Justin? Because there's no jingle to run in.
Well, I actually did do a new one, but with Her Majesty passing away, I haven't got time to send it to you or show you it or whatever. It's not as good as the other one because it's sort of like royalty-free Facebook music. But no, my luck, they would ban us completely, even though I'm using their own music. You know what I'm like. You remember when I go to order pizza and it's sorry we're shut, sorry we're closed.
just to go to order a pizza in a restaurant in Glasgow at 7:30 in the evening, and they say they've sold out of no food.
No, they just didn't want to serve me. Everybody's saying hello tonight. How you?
Look at Zuckerberg's wee grumpy face. Look at that.
What is that? What is that? Is that a cork? What is that?
No, it's a friend of mine, Joe, does these. He does these wee sort of funny face. Look, grumpy face, happy face. You know. Right. So he does these. So I have one sitting there. Anyway, by the way, there's a couple of people what's I going to say? My reviews. There was quite impressed with this one about the canvas, from Cadenheads. If you can't, if you feel like this, guys, it's a little bit expensive, but that's well worth getting the hands on. Well worth getting the hands on. Lovely.
There you go. Francis has popped back in. I'll pop you back out, Francis. You're looking great on screen. You just stay there for me, okay? There you go. Now,
right, get on with the news. Let's get on with the news a bit. Get that done. Have you got your introduction? No.
no.
Right.
Zuckerberg. All right, there you go.
Anyway, right. This is a bit old news, but we haven't covered it, so we have to. It has to be brought up, and it's Middleton and their brand new distillery they're going to be building. 250 million euro, €250 million going to be spent in this place. It's going to be on a 55-acre site down beside, so it's actually a new distillery.
Hold on, who says UFOs don't exist?
I know. See, are we even allowed to say the close encounters of the drinky said kind?
How many stills are in that picture?
I don't know. There's a lot. Mm-hmm. They're going to be making a hell of a lot of stuff. They're going to be creating 100 jobs. More importantly than that, they're going to be creating jobs for people. So 100 permanent jobs. And I'm going to actually pour myself a little one of these. This is something you don't see every day. People actually drinking Middleton. And to tell you the truth, it's all right. It's a nice whiskey, but it's not. What's James saying? It probably okays like
Macallan
with like the
teleprinter roof. Yeah, something like that. And then Connor Mabelson, he said, got that canvas.
What do you think of it, Connor? I think it's lovely. I think it's as a single grain. I think it's really, really good, and it's reasonably priced too, for what it is.
He says it looks like Macallan without the Teletubby roof. Oh boy!
Right. So the thing is, they're going to increase 50% more barley buying. And this is on top of them just spending €13 million on a visitor upgrade on the existing distillery. This we have to talk about Jameson a wee bit, because Jameson. I mean, to be fair, Jameson is Irish whiskey. When you take in terms of sales, I mean, they've now broke the 10 million cases barrier. There's not that much more than that in total being sold. When I say that, obviously there is, but it's I haven't got the latest figures, but I think it's 16 million cases of Irish whiskey being sold, and Jameson accounts for 10 of those. I mean, it's enormous. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, good on them, because it's sort of everything else sort of comes in the coattails of that. I say this all the time: a rising tide lifts all ships. So, yeah, the more Jameson has success, then probably the better everybody else is going to be. I begrudgingly say the same for Broker 12. Yeah, but it's good. It's good news. So yeah, it's going to be making pot still and grain whiskey. So they're going to be probably pumping out a lot. All those stills you see there, they're not necessarily showing you the column stills that are going to be there, because they're going to be pumping out a lot of stuff, I would think.
So they need the column stills for the volume and the quantity and all the rest of it. Yeah.
But
that'll be in that big building to the right that we can't see.
I'll be behind Teletubby's house. That'll be where the Pinky Twinky or whatever his name lives.
I know. Here, they're lucky it wasn't Brenton Cowan there, because they needed a bigger place. Sorry.
You're bad.
It's bad. But that joke's been drawn, with a concrete mixer as well. But anyway, that's another story.
Now the next story is we're talking about festivals tonight. We're doing the Poitín Festival, but this is one a bit closer to home for me. Anyway, it's the Bushmills Salmon and Whiskey Festival on the 15th and 16th of October. Bushmills, if you've never been down to the festival, there's stalls go out, there's a lot of food stuff, there's local crafty people there, and it's not just about the distillery. The distillery does play its part, but it's more about local stuff, crafty people and food. The salmon fisheries is going to be open to the public as well. So if you can go down, you can wander about around, pick up some nice food and pick up some of that kind of thing. For some reason, they're not advertising this as well as it should be. This should be pumped out because it's a world famous brand, world famous place.
I think the date was changed. Was the date changed or something because of the Queen's funeral or something? Like
yeah,
that?
But it's not. There was complaints about this by some of the people about the thing. It wasn't being as well advertised as it should be. So we're going to do our bit anyway and plug it here. So if you play the YouTube video for us there, Justin.
There we go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Don't say we don't plug things. There you go.
There you go. So if you find yourself available, pop down and see what it's all about. Now, environmental news. You know I like an environmental story. I've got a big one and a small one this time, Justin. Big and small environmental news. Well, we'll do the small one first. The Four Roses Distillery have been out collecting rubbish. Just basically doing a litter pick, okay, close to where the distillery is over in Kentucky, and they picked up 600 pounds of rubbish in bags. Now I do my litter pick. There's me and a couple of other guys around here go and pick up litter because human beings are bloody bad. Right, I don't mean that. I'm not doing that in generalisation, but some people are. So the fact that they've went and done it. Excellent. We have a wee video clip of this too on a news channel from the States.
We do indeed. Here we go.
Well, Kentucky has natural beauty, and the employees at the Four Roses Distillery want to keep it that way. On Tuesday, they set out to clean up the Salt River to maintain the riverbank around that natural water source. It is the 6th year they've held a cleanup service day, and in total, 600 pounds of trash was picked up. Great job, you guys.
No, there you go.
Yes,
now,
great job, you guys.
What do you make of that? Do you hear that? There is William McClanton saying he works up the North Coast, and this is the first time he's heard of that festival.
Yeah, I think
I've been there, Marty, but you know why I've been there?
Because you're
there's food.
There's
food.
There's food out I've been there as well. Do you know why I was there? Because whiskey. That's why I went. Probably because there's some food.
Yeah.
But
friends of mine were actually on the whiskey train, the Bushmills whiskey train with the Railway Preservation Society of Ireland. They did a jazz thing last night, but they also had a whiskey train on it and whiskey tasting of three Bushmills. Yeah, but there you go.
Well, William, I think that speaks volumes about the Causeway Coast Council and some of the council operations. You know, but yeah.
No. So it says our Twitch chat is on fire. Is it? I'll have to look at Twitch and I'll have to open up the Twitch and see it's on fire.
I must check that too.
Aye, we I look up Twitch and see what's happening on Twitch because nobody ever watches. About 2 people watch it on Twitch, or 3
right.
at the end of the day. So let me see. What do you say? What is it on fire? Let me see. Channel Twitch chat. Twitch chat. With 15 followers on it, right? And
15.
15. And there's loads. Actually, there is loads of people watching it. You're not joking this time. There's loads of people watching it. I think it's spam bots, but Marty, believe it or not.
Right. Okay. So we can expect the prostitutes from India to be sending us messages, and Nigerian guys pretending to be exceptionally large busted ladies. Very surely. Is that? How come Zuckerberg doesn't ban them? How come Zuckerberg doesn't get one to all these people who pretend to be from Dungannon?
I don't know, but here, listen, our Twitch chat is on fire tonight. Here, listen, I could be a social media influencer yet.
Okay.
I know.
Not if Zuckerberg gets his way. Right, getting back to the environmental news here, right? So that was the small people going out just actually picking up rubbish and trash. Jim Beam have announced, well, as part of their $400 million refurb of their distillery, that they're going to cut their CO2 emissions by 50%. Now, they're going to be using anaerobic digesters up at the Booker No distillery. 65% of the energy they're going to be using will come from those digesters, and from that they will have cheap, clean fertilizer they can give out, and they're going to sell it apparently quite cheap, whatever that means. Now they're going into partnership with the Three Rivers Distillery. Jim Beam pump out a huge amount of stuff, huge volume of stuff. And the fact that they're cutting back on their CO2 by using anaerobic digesters is a fantastic idea.
It is indeed, yeah, but that's all very good for the environment. A lot of places, a lot of whiskey distilleries are going to trying to go carbon neutral, but Marty, aren't they, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, if the more people that are going carbon neutral or even carbon negative, I've heard some people are talking about that at some point, but the fact that a massive big corporation, big producer like Jim Beam is doing this is a real step in the right direction. The only Jim Beam product I have in the house is this.
The peach stuff. There's Coca-Cola boy saying Jim Beam is the only one from mainstream whiskey he likes, and he's watching on Twitch tonight. Yes, it is. Twitch is going berserk, actually. Absolutely berserk.
Coca-Cola boy, to each their own, my friend. I'll possibly go and buy a bottle of Jim Beam just because they're doing something like this, you know. As a
I tell you what, we've got to thank Paul on Twitch, who is sort of walking around Belfast. He was, but he's done a raid on us on Twitch. He spent the day in Sligo. Now, Sligo, we're hoping to get over to Sligo sometime, aren't we?
Well, possibly. I have to go into negotiations to see if we can go all the way over there. We'll see.
Yep, there you go. They're all over the moon on Twitch because we've given them a shout out. We give shouts out. I haven't worked out how to get the comments from Twitch on the feed, but thanks for watching, guys. We're on YouTube as well. But listen, really appreciate that, Paul. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Thanks very much. Now, do you remember a while back, Justin? We interviewed Dr. Mike Dixon from Guelph University in Canada. Do you remember?
Was he the one that wanted to put barley into space?
He's the guy that was the barley in space guy, right? Well, Glenlivet. This is my only bottle of Glenlivet in the house. This is not good. But we'll not say that because we're doing a great thing with us with Dr. Mike. They launched barley seeds into space. The idea being to bring them back and see what happened to them and if they're viable. And do you remember his? I can't remember. Did he say it on screen or off screen? And what he said was, he has in his head a terrarium on the moon, and the first thing he wants growing on the moon is a barley, because he's a massive whiskey guy. He's a huge big whiskey collection.
He is. He does. But listen, there's method in the madness, of course, because distilling and alcohol and whiskey and grain are essentials for humans to travel in space great distances.
Oh, well, put it like this: if I was going anywhere, I would need a couple of bottles of whiskey. If they send me to Mars, I'll have to have a few bottles of whiskey with me. I saw that you posted this thing about 2 whiskey brands. I'll not mention them that got a telling off because they said whiskey's not medicinal. It might not be medicinal, but it does have medicinal properties. And if I hadn't been drinking over the last number of weeks, for some of the people that I've had to deal with, well, murders may have been committed, and my health would have suffered detrimentally because I would have murdered people. That's the truth. You know what? Someone asked me a couple of weeks ago, Justin, on a tour. Now, I know lots of shit. I know lots of crap, right? I know lots of crap, and you know loads of crap too. It's kind of our job. So I was talking about whiskey in Scotland, and somebody asked me, Marty, what's the relationship between marijuana consumption and whiskey drinking in India? Now, I know lots of shit. How the fuck am I supposed to know that off the top of my head?
I don't know. Listen, young Jack is saying he likes Marty's setup. He loves your set there. Yes, that set is a great expense. It cost £10,000 to build that set, and that's only the whiskey.
But put it like this: the amount of whiskey there is sitting about here, £10,000. Yeah. No, we've lots of stuff. But no, right. Glenlivet have put up a new sign up in Speyside. So bring it. If you got it,
I've got it. Is this connected with space by any chance?
All right, but let's just. They've got this up. This is them obviously hinting that they've got the barley back, and they're probably going to grow it. So they have Speyside Glenlivet, which I like. I think that's pretty cool.
Well, the only trouble is we were getting questions like, which two whiskies would you bring into space with you, says Trevor Watson.
Well, if we're talking with unlimited amounts of it, I would have to say Black Bush, Black Bush, the Saviste, the 43% one. That would be one that I would definitely take with me because I do love it. That's superb. And then, give me a wee second because I'm having a wee quick look.
Are you sure Proper 12 isn't one that you would like to send into space?
Only if I'm going with some cosmonauts that I don't particularly like. I want to blame them for invading Ukraine.
All right.
I'm not allowed to do that. I would be some sort of Dunvilles. I'd be one of the Dunvilles because I think they're awesome. It would be a single cask, although I'd probably drink it between here and Mars. Then I'd have nothing up there.
Well, listen, we're getting asked questions because the Twitch guys, we're finally twigged on the Twitch guys have done a raid on us tonight. So thanks for that. They're asking, if you open whiskey, does it go off? And we all know, even I know this, it doesn't go off.
Whiskey is immortal. Whiskey lives forever. It can, as long as you treat it right, as long as you have it and don't put it in extreme conditions or in direct sunlight, it stays the same. I have a few bottles that are of considerable age, even older than Justin.
Hold on a minute, Marty. I'm not joking you here. They open it for millennium, so it's 22 years old. It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
It doesn't matter. It shouldn't make any difference. As long as it's not stored in a garage where it might get up hot and cold or something like that, that'll be dead on. Oh, now finally. I've done a bit of checking this week. I found some stats. Hang on to get these. Because this is who spends the most on whiskey. Who spends the most on whiskey? What country spends the most on whiskey in a year?
Bound to be India. Bound to be.
Correct, Justin. 2 points to Justin.
I'm getting good at this, Marty.
Right. How much did they spend? Now, just to put this in perspective, Justin, right? Put this in perspective. The UK in whiskey spends, and this is in dollars, $2.15 billion. Right, so how much does India spend?
200 billion.
No, don't be said 200 billion. Don't be daft. Right? Don't be. That's 200 billion. You mean to say they spend 100 times more? Don't be ridiculous.
Well, they're 100 times bigger country, isn't it? It's a very big country. It's 1 billion people, 1.8 billion people, something like that.
Yeah, but they're not spending the same per equivalent.
Right?
The whiskey's a lot cheaper.
Right.
So Mark's coming out with a sensible thing, right? 6 billion. No, this is in dollars. They spend $18.8 billion. Now, America is second and spend $17.07 billion. So they're spending about $1 billion more on whiskey, right? What's the third country that spends the most? What country spends the third biggest amount?
Brazil or Russia?
Nope. Nope.
France?
France is in 4th position. Oh, sorry.
Must be German. Must be Germany.
France is in 5th position, spending $3.9 billion. I was surprised by this. I was surprised. I didn't realize. China only spend 1.11 billion, which is pretty much double what Ireland spend. Ireland spend about 600 million. The 3rd biggest whiskey spending nation in the world is Thailand. Thailand spend $6.31 billion on whiskey, which that's pretty much 3 times what the UK spends, more or less, a bit less than 3 times. It's incredible.
I feel a trip to Thailand coming on.
Yeah. Yeah, you and Gary Glitter built a package holiday.
You're bad. You're bad.
No, I'm only joking. I promise. I'm only
You're bad. You're bad.
But no, honestly, yeah, it's. I was surprised. I didn't realize Thailand spent as much on whiskey. Now it'll probably be their own stuff and not, but they must spend a lot on Johnny Walker as well.
It's going mad on Twitch because one of them is going to do a live stream from Thailand. They're going to get their eyes opened. They're doing a live stream from there in December. Here, after the guys that we maybe interviewed getting arrested by somebody else.
Shush! We interviewed someone. We're not going to say who, but we interviewed someone who's being investigated by the police.
Flipping whiskey
for doing something that they come onto our show and told us all about. Anyway, don't be saying anything. Right, we're not allowed to tell anybody any of this. Right, anyway.
What's the population of Thailand? I don't think it's quite big, but it's not as big as Malaysia.
I don't think. I don't think so.
Well, we're on the internet. Why don't we ask the internet? Population of Thailand. There we go. It's as big as the UK. It's 69.8 million.
I thought it was a wee bit less than the UK, but there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You know, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's good to know these things.
Oh,
you know,
there's a lot of guys wanting to take dark sulky into space. I can't disagree with that. Yeah, can't disagree with it. It's a superb drink. It really is superb drink.
Yeah, it is indeed. I don't know why these Poitín Now things keep appearing. I think it's trying to tell us that we're halfway through and we haven't talked to Francis yet.
We have to bring the man on. The man. Francis finally got his take working. Is he waiting in the mines? Is he ready to punch?
He is. Have we done all the news? Have we done everything now?
We've done everything. All the news. Everything is now done. We have going to talk about Poitín. Now, there's lots of people, Francis. I'm just going to, before we get talking, there's lots of people in the likes of the States and stuff who watch the show who don't actually know what Poitín is. Tell us what it is first.
Okay, well, fundamentally, it's an unaged white spirit. So in terms of classification, as we know, to be called whiskey has to be aged for 3 years minimum. Poitín can literally come straight from the still into the bottle if that's what one wants. But then in terms of resting it in a cask as opposed to aging, it can be rested for up to 10 weeks, but it has to be taken out of the cask within 10 weeks to be called Poitín. So yeah, Poitín, I don't think the word really existed. Maybe someone like Fionn O'Connor can correct me on this. But until after 1661, when Charles II brought in the excise duty, which kind of drove the making or distilling of spirit in Ireland underground, that's really when the term Poitín came into vogue, if you like. So essentially, it's a grain spirit. Traditionally, it was always made from barley, and usually whatever excess grains were in season at the time. A lot of people misunderstand it and think it was made from potatoes, which really it never really was.
No.
potatoes have been added from time to time and whatever, but it's a white grain spirit.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, if you want to be really sort of basic about it, it's basically unaged whiskey. That was essentially what it would have been if you want back in the day. It was a kind of an underground unaged whiskey. That was
but
slightly
we have
different.
we have tried modern pot change, Marty, and there's some flavor coming out of some of them.
So some of them
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. Some of them's fantastic. Now, before we jump onto the flavour of the pot change, because I want to just quickly touch on this. Pot chain as a category was illegal in Ireland. There was no certainly no promotion of it. I mean, it was essentially just classified carte blanche illegal. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It was only in in 1987 the restrictions were eased somewhat, which allowed a few producers to distill for export only. And then in 1997 the ban was lifted, so it was allowed to be distilled on the island of Ireland for sale on the island of Ireland. And that's actually 25 years ago, a quarter of a century ago. And I guarantee if you go out into the street and ask 10 people about poaching, they'll probably all still think it's illegal.
Yeah.
And that it will make it go blind or blow your brains out or whatever.
It might blow your brains out. Trust me, I've tasted some of Brendan Curry's stuff. I can we'll not just rule that bit out. But please drink sensibly, kids. Please drink sensibly.
Absolutely. I'm sipping on some Bullcan as we speak.
Well, I had Bullcan. I actually forgot that I had a guest in the house a few weeks ago who I let try my remaining bottle, what was left, not much left in my bottle of Bullcan. And he said, well, that's lovely. And I said, look, just take it with you. Because there wasn't a huge amount left. And I thought, well, take it with you because I like it, but not as much as my girlfriend. Jesus, she loves it. She has said that out of everything that she's ever drank, and she's a Lefroy girl. You know, Lefroy would be her, but certainly very close to her heart. And she says if Daddy picked between Poitíns, certainly Cologne Poitíns, she's a massive fan. She's a bit of a Brendan fan girl, to be quite honest with you. If you had to pick between, she would pick Irish Poitín. She thinks it's amazing.
Oh, it is, and like we alluded at the start of the show that this wouldn't have been possible to do a festival 4 years ago.
No,
but the amount of poaching out there now and the flavor profiles are just quite incredible. Really incredible.
I mean, hang on, I'm going to lift something. I'll come back. If you could cut away, Justin, in a professional manner, I shall return in a little bit. I forgot to lift something. Just give me 2 seconds.
There we go. Now, tell us about the show, Francis. When's it on?
Okay, so the show is on the 18th and 19th of November. So that's the 18th is a Friday. It's going to be an evening session. The format will be very similar to Whiskey Live, so whoever's familiar with that format will know what I mean. So we have an evening session on the Friday, and then we've 2 sessions on the Saturday, the 19th. Sessions are 3 hours long. Sorry, go on.
And if people are interested in getting tickets, all they need to do is hold their camera up to the screen now on their phone and scan that QR code, and that'll get them tickets, or they can go directly to the website, which is dead easy to find. It's poitín.ie, which is on screen as well.
Poitín.ie, yeah. And if they actually, for any of the viewers tuned in tonight, if they put in the promo code Irish Whiskey Review, they'll get 10% off the tickets.
Hey,
wow, that's
there
fantastic.
You go. 10% off the tickets, guys. And if you've been to whiskey festivals, I assume it's more or less the same format. It's going to be very familiar to people who go to whiskey festivals.
It is, yeah, it is. It's going to be a little bit different in that there'll be panel discussions and some talks, which will all happen in the same room. There's no breakout rooms. Want to make this as kind of intimate and all inclusive as possible. The venue is an old banana warehouse in the old part of Dublin, Dublin's north side. It's really gritty. It's really urban. In some ways, it's actually going to be more like going into a gig. It's not going to look like any whiskey event you've ever been to before. It's going to be very different.
Excellent, excellent. The reason I jumped up was I have this. This is a bottle of. Some people will tell you this is a bottle of the proper stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I bought this a long time ago, and there's a reason it's not drank. This I bought. Sorry, let's rephrase this. This I made a charitable donation to a friend who had got this, and I've had this for years. This is the proper stuff. It's bloody awful. I mean, it's gut rot, horrendous, made. Just it's vile. And there is this misconception that some guy doing this kind of thing is going to have better tasting spirit than a professional with proper good equipment, and it's just nonsense, absolute nonsense. Do you want to talk about this? Do you want, because there still is this idea that the stuff that you pick up at under a counter, which you have no idea of quality, is in some way comparable to what's being professionally made.
Yeah, I think that's part of the mythology that's built up over time. It's just a mythical drink that it can only be made properly or authentically if it's been made in a dirty old pot up in the mountains somewhere, and it's just not the case.
No.
The quality of poitín that we can actually buy off the shelf in a shop these days is it's simply outstanding.
Yeah,
really
it
outstanding.
Is. And
sorry, go on.
Ahead.
Yeah.
No, sorry, go on ahead, Francis.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, like, it's not, if you go back, to 1987 when the ban was, or the restrictions were eased, nobody gave it any real consideration, real thought. It was unaged whiskey, as you said.
Yeah.
But the likes of Brendan and Cologne, or the lads over in Mickle, or Michael up in Boylock, they're just taking it to a whole new level.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a totally different thing. The flavour that they can get into what's basically a new make spirit and running it off. For anyone who hasn't tasted Buchan, I wish I hadn't given it away to my friend the other day, so even I could just pull up. I mean, it's a fantastic amount of flavour coming into it.
It's incredible.
Now, the at the festival, you're talking about you're going to have cocktails. Now, I know of one.
Yeah.
I know of one. A Belfast coffee. I was there the night it was introduced by Ecklenville. The guys down in Ecklenville introduced it at a whiskey launch thing that we're at, because they make band poitín. What other cocktails? Because this is going to interest my wee baldy friend here. This is going to interest him with his cocktails. So what other cocktails are we talking about? What's in store for people?
Well, what's going to happen is the distillers and producers who are attending should all be bringing along their own signature cocktails. And then Bar 1661, which is, Dave Mulligan, Bon Poitín, who you may be aware that one bar of the year not too long ago, just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So they're actually running the bar at the show, and they'll have pretty much their full new menu available to everybody. So we're talking up to potentially 100 different cocktails.
That's just event. Along the quays from where you're holding the show, isn't it? It's basically
literally it's the venue is probably 200-300 meters away from Bar 1661. So we know where we're going after it ends.
Well, put it like this, for 1661, they do oysters and stuff, and it's lovely. It's a fantastic bar, really, really nicely laid out, and do excellent food as well. Just as an aside, excellent food.
There's just what they've done with cocktails is just, and poitín is just outstanding. You know,
now,
absolutely outstanding.
In terms of poitín, the technical file for it is, I mean, because if anyone doesn't know, technical files is really what defines what is allowed to be have a name on the bottle. What is the technical file for poitín? What does it have to be categorized as?
So it's an unaged white spirit, 10 weeks maximum. One of the problems with the technical file is that currently it's Irish poitín. Okay, so Irish poitín is protected, which leaves the word poitín open to anybody producing it. So, for example, there'll be my own collection will be at the show. So, and there's 4 poitíns made in the States, 3 in Canada, 2 in Russia, believe it or not.
Oh no, I do believe it. I believe it. There's bound to be one coming from China.
Yeah, and you know, it's not all great stuff. So that's one of the things I think with the technical file that's going to probably have to change, is just to protect the word poitín as being, you know, exclusive to the island of Ireland.
Yeah.
And it's actually one of the things at the show. There is going to be a panel discussion, in which the format hopefully will be Fionn O'Connor is going to present, you know, the parameters in which poitín has been made
historically,
and using that as a starting point to see what needs to happen to the technical file. You know, there's otherwise, you know, if we don't set some sort of parameters around the makeup of poitín, which I think also needs to leave space for experimentation and for innovation. Yeah. But you know, if it's fundamentally a grain spirit with a percentage of adjuncts, you know, to come in, great. But it does need tightening up. Otherwise, we're just making loads of different white spirits.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the Scots Whisky Association, they get pilloried for sometimes being overzealous in the protection of the word Glen on a whiskey from Canada. You know who I mean by this. But they also make a poitín. But the difference is poitín is as a name, it's synonymous with Ireland. The word Glen, you know, there's Glens in Canada, there's Glens in New Zealand, there's Glens all over. But the word poitín is synonymous with Ireland, so therefore it shouldn't just be Irish poitín. It should, in my opinion, it should be poitín as a brand should be limited to Ireland.
Yeah, no, I believe so. So otherwise, it's, you know, there's no anyone can pretty much do anything, and there's too much good poitín being produced now, not to protect that name. Otherwise, you'll just get all sorts of bad white spirit.
I heard about a tour. Obviously, being in tourism, I heard about a tour where they were doing a food thing. I'll not say where it was, but they're doing a food thing, and one of the things on it was they were bringing out poitín, but it was the real stuff, you know, the real stuff, and giving it to people who had paid to go on a tour. Now, and I want to just emphasize this: if you're buying illegal and illicit spirits, you have no idea what's in that. You have no idea of it's the same as buying drugs. And this person was giving this to people who had paid for a tour. And they were saying, oh, this is the great stuff, this is the thing. And I just thought, you are possibly risking someone's health. I'm not, possibly. You're also risking getting sued, ridiculously badly sued. And also, you're also tarnishing the name of decent spirit, because I'm sure it's bloody awful, if I'm quite honest. I'm sure it was crap. But because it's the real stuff. The real stuff is the stuff you buy from a reputable supplier normally with a tax stamp on it. With a tax stamp on it. That's your mark of guarantee. You might have to pay for that, but it's your mark of guarantee,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's no reason to be buying this stuff.
No. When you go to a show like Poitín Now in Dublin, you're spending about 35 quid. You're given 10% off for our viewers tonight. What's the promo code again, Francis?
Irish Whiskey Review.
Okay. And one thing you'll get is excellent value for money, because you'll be able to try over 30 euros worth of whiskey on the day, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely. All the stands will be giving out samples, and bar 1661 will be giving out samples, and then there's the option to tuck into the cocktail menu as well. And we have a few exciting releases as well. There's going to be, I know Mickle are going to have 2 new poitíns in time for the show.
Brilliant.
Cologne will have a couple of new poitíns, and then we have one which it's still in the cask for the next 2 weeks. I'm not going to say where it's from just yet. I'll let you know as soon as I know that it's definitely happening. Then that's more about supply chain of bottles and labels and things. But it's a really special, really special production. It's only available to attendees, and it'll be done on a ballot system most likely, because it's only 100 bottles. But it's going to be a bit of a game changer.
Excellent. Now you're sort of tasting me here now, Francis. You're exciting me here. I've been, people who watch the show regularly know I've been banging the drum for poitín for a considerable period of time now, because and I know this. There's purists who would say, "Oh no, this is getting away from the message." Some of the big guys, and by that I mean Brown-Forman, Diageo, Irish distillers. At some point, you're going to jump on the bandwagon here, or jump on and say, we can produce a white spirit, run it off a still. We have a sort of ready-made brand and sell it straight away. And in your opinion, would that be good or bad? Would that be good or bad for poitín?
Well, first of all, I can't see them doing it for a long time, because the sales just aren't there. Like you mentioned, Jameson, earlier on, 10 million cases of whiskey. What's poitín doing in a year at the moment? Maybe 10, 15,000 cases across the board, So I think over the next few years, because I'm kind of in this for the long haul, I'm kind of thinking a 10-year plan here.
Yeah.
If we can get it to, I'd say, if we can start changing the perception around poitín and start seeing sales and interest increase, and which they are already, then maybe the big boys will come in and jump on the bandwagon. Is it a good or a bad thing? Let's say Middleton were to turn around tomorrow and say we're producing a poitín. I think the interest factor would just go through the roof, so everybody would benefit from that.
I think
so. I think ultimately it would be a good thing if Middleton or someone big just came on. Yeah. But can you imagine Middleton and the word poitín both on the label on the bottle?
Exactly, and that to me, if I think if some of the big guys get on board and were to jump behind it and say, yeah, we can make something that will be popular and we'll put a bit of money behind it. I don't see any reason at all that would be a bad thing. Just lift the entire brand. And probably and have the money to put into getting it protected as well.
Francis, why do you think people haven't done that already, considering it's a bit like other white spirits that a lot of distillers produce, in the 3 to 4 or 5 years before their own product comes out? Why has a big place not done it already?
I think fundamentally, business is business. There's a ready-made market for whiskey. It's familiar. Everybody knows what whiskey is. and it has that kind of, I guess, premium attached to it. So it's easier to just produce whiskey. But then, on the other side of that, Justin, and this is the bit that fascinates me, if poaching, just the word poaching, becomes GI protected, suddenly you have at the moment more or less 13 distilleries producing a poaching. Suddenly you have 13 businesses that own the entire worldwide market for a product. Do you know what I mean? There's no competing with anybody. This is ours. And all we have to do is produce and develop the market. I know it's small right now, but if the big boys, got in behind, and started pushing this. And then just from another business point of view, 0 to 10 weeks and, maximum, you've got a product on the shelves. As opposed to
Mark Kerr saying
that
it's their new make spirit in a bottle, so profit margin would be greater. No storage.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can as demand grows, you can meet demand in a way that whiskey can never do that, because it has to wait so long to become whiskey.
Yeah.
To me, it's a no-brainer. It really is.
Yeah, I see James. James is saying that it might be an interesting play for Sazerac. Yeah, I mean, Sazerac coming in and what they're going to be doing down in Sligo, it could be a superb thing for them. James, you're poaching. When can we see Silky poaching? That'll be a nice one to get out soon, or maybe I'm saying about something that I don't know anything about. You never know. Now, the one thing about for collectors, the largest collection of poaching in the world is going to be here. Is that yours?
It is mine. Yeah. Some of the listeners or viewers will be aware. I had my poaching collection stored in my shop in Dublin, and it was stolen, robbed a couple of months ago. So I've been rebuilding it. There's a couple of bottles I'll probably never replace, but there's probably in and around 100 bottles of legally produced poaching in existence, and pretty much all of them will be there at the show. Yeah,
it's unfortunate about what happened. What is your shop? Explain about your shop.
Oh, I'm an artist by profession. So I have a studio and a shop in Dublin city centre. But I had a little storeroom down the back where all the poaching was. So much to my shock and horror, I arrived in one day and it was gone.
It's ridiculous. And I see Lady Fiona from the Redemon Estate down in Shortcross. We have a unique mash bill for our poaching. You do. I had it again, Fiona. I had a bottle of it and I've drunk it all. Well,
it's quite tasty.
It's very tasty. I didn't drink it all. I was assisted in this endeavour by a very short, attractive young lady.
Not me.
No.
Me.
No. As soon as I say the word attractive, that's you ruled out of the equation. My girlfriend loves poaching, and she loved Shortcross, and she loves all the other. She loves poaching. She's a big fan of poaching. Even though some of them are quite strong, they sort of they do have quite a punch to them as well.
Yeah, they do. But again, there's if you look at what's going to be at the show, we're going to have poachings from the low 40s to the high 60s.
Yeah,
some range. It's great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Some of it, some of it is very potent, and I think again it needs to get away from that image of it's ready just to blow your head off.
But some of the potent stuff doesn't taste like it's potent.
Exactly,
amazing stuff.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're bang on there. Again, if you go back to the book, I must have come in about 68%. Let me just check. 67.9%.
Yeah.
There's no way it drinks like 67.9%.
Yeah.
No, you've got to be careful with it.
The human body's not designed to drink that. I say Fiona's saying that her poitín, their poitín, David as well. Not to rule David out of the picture, is not their new make recipe. It's not theirs is unique. What is the mash bill, Francis? Because I can't mind off the top of my head for short cross poitín.
Short cross, yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head either. See if it's on the bottle here.
Aye.
100% Irish cereals, a trio of malted barley, malted wheat, and malted rye.
Malted wheat and malted rye. Okay.
Yeah.
Malted wheat and malted rye. I had a bottle of it and it's all gone. The only poitín I have in the house is I have a bottle of stone soup upstairs. That's the only bottle of poitín I have in the house, which is other than that rubbish, the right stuff. Yeah, that's the only poitín I have. Because honestly, I don't buy enough of it. I'm just thinking I don't buy enough of it, and I should buy more. Although in saying that, when my girlfriend gets here, she assists in getting rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we all need to get behind this category, I think. Because whiskey is whiskey, but there's something about poitín. It's, I think it's the spirit that really defines us, and it defines our history, in a way that whiskey can never do.
Now I'm going to go to. I'm trying to find a picture of this man. Yes, I have it here. If anyone has never read this book, by the way, In Praise of Poitín, it's a fantastic read, because the whole nonsense about poitín making you blind. Well, if it doesn't. What happened was two guys not too far away from where I live, actually over in Bushmills, made poitín, and they put it into a weed killer canister that they hadn't cleaned out, and that's what blinded them. It was nothing to do with bloody poitín. So if you don't distill properly, methanol will be there, but hopefully you've brains enough to cut out the tail end, which the really dangerous stuff's in. So the ethanol would override the methanol. So it's a total nonsense. But anyway, I want to bring up this man, Mickey McElhatton. He was known as the King of the Glens. And I know some of the McElhatton family. They used to live just down the Glens. And there is this tradition of the illicit distiller. But that was back in the day, many moons ago. I know that for a fact that Mickey McElhatton poitín has been registered by somebody. The copyright to it, or the trademark of it, has been registered. Do you see a time when that will come onto the market? And will that be, because we've got the Lazarus brands, the old brands being brought up. Would that help the category possibly?
Absolutely. I don't see why not. And that kind of I think the best comparison for poitín, it's not whiskey, it's something like mezcal. I think there's more in common with poitín, and mezcal have a way of categorizing. They have their basic mezcal, which is industrial mezcal. Yeah. And they have heritage, which there are certain ways it must be made and things must be done. And then there's the ancestral. So yeah, the McElhatton brand, could well sort of represent that sort of ancestral, historical element to it. But then the newer brands that are producing the stuff can represent the future in a very different way. But no, I think that'll be great. That'll be wonderful.
I think there's a great thing about technical files in that they give protection, but they also define and sort of stifle a bit of innovation, which again, there's the pot still, Irish pot still whiskey has obviously been under review and so on. The current legislation on poitín, James has mentioned this, that James is Our recipe is my granddad's and it won't comply with the GI, so it won't be labelled as Irish poitín. So obviously he's thinking about doing it. Do you think that trade-off? I'm saying this about poitín because it's almost in some ways kind of it's a very old thing, but it's in sort of green shoots at the minute. It's just popping its head up above the soil. And do you think having a very loose technical file would be very good, or a better defined technical file?
I think if we, if we bow to the knowledge, say, of someone like Fionn, who can give us, give us a definition.
Yeah.
And the simple reason for that is because there has been no clear definition. In recent years, people are kind of free to do what they want, and I think that freedom is important. But if it's too free, it's just loads of different white spirit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
yep.
If
I get you.
Yeah. So I think there needs to be enough room, as I said, for, if we're looking at sort of wheat and barley and oats as being the key grains that are in there, there also needs, I think, to be enough space, not 1 or 2% of other ingredients. I think there needs to be a decent enough percentage there to allow for that sort of creativity. Yeah. And then the great thing about boundaries, and it's not just in distilling, it's the same in art or in music or whatever the case may be. You have boundaries, and boundaries are made to be pushed and pushed and pushed until the boundaries, get rewritten again.
Yeah.
And I think as more people, and I'm really looking forward to tasting James Poitín when it does come to fruition. The more people that are doing it, and pushing at the boundaries, the more exciting that category is going to become.
No, I love. I just left it down. I've a couple of different books on Irish poitín. I just left it the first two I could get. The Donegal, the story of Donegal, the Republic of Poitín, the Republic of Whiskey, down there. A couple of really good books. But there's lots of books on American moonshine. And moonshine in the States, which is, let's be honest, moonshine and poitín, very similar, or a similar origin in many ways. And let's just say brother and sister, or maybe cousins product. Moonshine in the States is enormous. It's huge. It's really taken off. Do you see that happening in Ireland?
I don't see why not. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. And I actually think an important sort of role required in this is the cocktail end of things. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you imagine you mentioned the Belfast coffee, the Belfast coffee being really well made in hotels and bars across the country. Suddenly it introduces people to the spirit in a way that they'd never find it otherwise.
Yeah.
And they'll find their way back to the really good drinking poitíns that don't need to be a base spirit in a cocktail. I'm not saying it has to be the Belfast coffee. It could be another cocktail. It could be 2 or 3.
Other cocktails are available, Francis. That's what you say. Other cocktails are available.
They are available. Now, I do love my Belfast coffees. And then you go into bar 1661 any weekend, and you look around the room, and the demographic is mid-20s to mid-30s, and they're all drinking poitín in some shape or form.
Yeah.
And this is the audience that we need to be going to, because they're not carrying around the baggage that someone my age is, about that bottle under the sink that'll just make you go blind.
Make it strip paint off the wall. I mean, I had a session one time years ago, in my dim and distant past, where I had a night with a couple of guys drinking poitín, and I'll be honest, I don't suffer from hangovers, but I suffered the next day with the Poitín. It wasn't good. But you're young and silly, and you do these kind of things. And I think that's another element of it's an element of spirit drinking. I find this quite often, that people when they're young try a spirit, and invariably they don't have much money, so they buy the cheapest sort of crap, and then think that influences them going forward. I find whiskey suffers quite a lot from this. So Poitín must be on a scale off the chart, and people going, that's bloody awful, and thinking that the stuff that David and Fiona down at Shortcross are making, or the Mickle or any of these kind of guys are making is something equivalent, and it's not. I mean, the fact that you're holding a festival and giving people a chance to come down and experience the whole range of what is actually available. That would be. It's a super idea. I really. It's one of the reasons. Sometimes I get people saying we don't do Irish whiskey enough. Yeah, I like all of this because it's all relatable, and Poitín have been banging this drum for a long time. I want people to sort of get behind it.
Yeah, there's the passion out there for it is fantastic. And again, you're banging on about it. I know Laurie O'Dwyer has been banging on about it. Sure, Dave Mulligan has been banging on about it for a decade now. And Brendan, of course, has been banging on about it big time in the last couple of years. So yeah, we just need to get behind this, and I do hope the whiskey community gets behind it and gets out there and buys tickets, because these distillers are doing something really special. Really special.
Now, how many stands are going to be there? How many of the brands, the current whiskey or Poitín producers are going to be there?
I can actually bring the PDF up on screen, Francis, if you want to talk us through it all.
Sure, if I can see it, I'll certainly talk you through that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what page is up on screen. You may not be able to see it. It depends on what system you're actually watching on. But wait till we see. Here we go. That should be. It's on screen now, and there's the main page. So we all know where it is. It's on the Keys, dead easy to find, and it's on. There's lots of hotels around there, and it's dead handy from Connolly Station, or if you get there, coaches up and down as well. Right.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Oh,
there we go. The vision. Tell us about that.
I actually can't. I can't see the thing, and I can't.
All right.
I'll see if I can access it here, but I'm not sure that I can.
So no, don't in case it upsets out. So basically, Charles II drove Poitín underground in 1661. It's all out in the open now. It's all above board. It's all legal.
Yeah. So the vision is, even within the whiskey community, when you mention Poitín, people think unaged whiskey, so therefore it's not a good spirit. I kind of say to people, you wouldn't expect a 10-year-old child to behave in the same way as a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old. So I think we need to get away from the comparison with whiskey. Poitín is Poitín. It's not trying to be anything else. It's trying to be itself. And we have to start viewing it in that way, that I'm not tasting an unaged whiskey. I'm tasting a unique spirit here. So
would you say it's even more unique to Ireland than whiskey is then?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been there long before whiskey ever arrived on the scene. It's the granddaddy. It's the granddaddy of all Irish spirits. Yeah, and I think we need to give it the respect and individuality that it deserves. Because as I said, the flavors, the variety of Poitín that's available to us, even at this early stage in its development, is quite startling, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon.
Good.
So yeah, my intention is that if I walk into a bar anywhere in Ireland, I'm actually going to see a bottle of Poitín on the shelf, and I'm not going to look at it and kind of go, or I'm going to see a younger demographic coming in, seeing Poitín and just accepting Poitín as Poitín. In the same way they accept vodka as vodka or tequila as tequila. That's the vision.
William's just asked a very interesting question there. Is part of the romance of poitín the fact that its alcohol content is higher than can be bought under license? Now, I think what he means by that is the fact that it's seen as being more potent, part of the sort of appeal and romance of it.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think it's part of that whole mythology that's been, somewhat manufactured by people and by the industry as well. So there's this notion maybe with some people that if it's not mind-blowingly strong, well, then it's not really poitín.
Yeah.
We're kind of missing the point there.
Although I do get where he's coming from, because there is an element of certainly I know that the moonshiners have tried to get away from this in the States, try to make it into something that's a bit more acceptable as an everyday drinking spirit. But you watch the TV programs and you have the moonshiners driving around as if the feds are after them. Well, the TV cameras and the film crew probably give away your location quite quickly. There's a big light and a sound boom over the top of you. But is there an element of that romance? Probably.
Yeah, there probably is. Absolutely, yeah. But again, over time, that's what this event is aiming to start, that conversation, and that, if you like, rebranding of people's perception of poitín.
Yeah, I just nipped over and picked up my only bottle of poitín, and since you've been on, I'm going to have to open this. Not matter, I was sort of keeping this, but Brendan does stuff. Is this covered in wax? I mean, it's incredible how much wax he puts on these bottles. I'm going to open it. You need a pair of scissors to open the bloody things. Justin, you're going to have to cut away while I go and get a pair of scissors to open this bloody bottle.
What? People think it's recorded anyway, so we'll clip that out and put it back in again. I know, I've seen it. He's clipped it in. I'll listen. I'll ask you more about the main people involved on the night. You've got Cologne coming, you've Missile coming, you've Willich, Ban Poitín, you've got Blackwater, Short Cross, Morn Dew, and Boan as well, who did a fantastic tasting set of the old stuff as well. It's you're starting off big, and you hope to just get bigger then, Francis.
Yeah, well, that's it, and it's great that these people want to come along, because they're just producing really fantastic spirit. How big it gets is really up to it's up to the drinkers out there. Do you know what I mean? Who really want to explore this category?
I've got to show this. What have you got? A sword? What is that? What is that you've got? Is this a Highlander thing? Is this an Outlander or Highlander thing? What are you doing?
Someday, if you come up to my house, I'm going to butcher you. No, it's just a butcher's knife. Justin, you know one of my many things that I collect is knives.
You just got to cut the glass off and drink it, even though there's shards of glass in it.
Yeah, you know the way with champagne they do. The sword. This is what you have to do with Brendan. You take out a butcher's knife and try and see if you can get something off it.
Oh boy, I've seen it all.
What? That's my personal home security, Justin.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
There
I've
we
seen
go.
it all.
There we
I've
go.
seen it all.
So we'll have a wee drop of poitín.
Crocodile Dundee. That's not a knife.
Oh, trust me. If you see some of the ones we do have, no, I used to do a martial art, that's knife fighting. But anyway, we'll not digress on that. But anyway, as for you, Justin, anytime you're messing about with me, no, this is the stone soup, so it's turf smoked grain, so you can get peated poitíns, huge amount of mash bills, aged poitín, rested poitín, I should say, aged is not aged. Rested poitín, smoked malted grains, all these different potential flavors that's out there, potential mash bills. much more free and easy than the likes of the whiskies.
Yeah.
What's your how would I put it? What's your most innovative whiskey? Or Poitín? I do apologise. What's your most innovative Poitín that you have found so far?
Okay, so that there's a couple of different aspects of the most innovative. Well, and the one that really kind of probably inspired the show would have been when Brendan released the Cúige. That just totally sort of sent me over the Poitín edge. Literally, my God, the capabilities here are just, or the possibilities here are just fantastic. And then the other producers, I think, were given permission to up their game and to start taking the category seriously. And all the exhibitors there, your Mickles, Boylocks, Shortcross, all of them, and we've even got a brand that just launched this year in the States, called Smuggling None, and they're distilled up in Copeland. So I just think for the Cúige, for me, the Cúige was just one of those eureka moments.
Yeah. I'll let you in a little secret. The Cúige, I tried to buy the bottles, and surprise, surprise, they all sold out dead quick. But my wonderful little lady friend managed to. Do you remember the miniatures that come out? The little ones. Yeah, she got me one of those. So I do have more Poitín in the house, but I have the wooden, the half stave with the 5 on it. I drunk we drunk the other ones, and bloody lovely some of them were. But I'm not opening the other ones because it's kind of a keepsake as much as anything else. But yeah,
sure, yeah.
I think it was. I thought they were wonderful.
And
it was an eye opener as well. I agree with you. There's
it really was
potential, so much potential in the whole category. I mean, Justin will back me up. Well, sometimes he backs me up. I've been banging on about Poitín for a long time and the potential for it as a standalone Irish product. That should be better known and better recognised across. I think it. I know this is probably being extremely ambitious, but if you look at the amount of spirit that's drunk in the likes of India, we mentioned this earlier on, and Poitín for me, in terms of like India, China, the big global markets that are emerging economies, I think it's just absolutely right for Poitín. I really do. I think it's the sort of thing that they could really, really get behind and sell massive volume of it at some point. And I don't see why they couldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't see why not either. And again, like, just on that sort of notion, I mentioned the Cúige as being the eureka moment, but yourself, you want a glass of whiskey, and you go and you look and you see what you have, and something will sort of pique your interest on the particular day or mood that you're in. You can now do that with Poitín as well.
Yeah.
I go and look at my bottles of Poitín and go, actually, I'm not in the mood for Bulkan this evening. I'm in the mood for Shortcross, or I'm in the mood for Mickle, or whatever the case may be. Because the variety is there now.
Well, I do have to say, I over the last while I've been in Scotland as pretty much as I've been in Ireland. So I've been picking up Scotches. So I honestly don't have as much Poitín. Obviously, I've demonstrated that I don't have that much Poitín in the house. I'm going to change that. I think I'm going to, because if I'm honest, I've said this before. I've stopped buying lots of whiskey because a lot of it's got really, really expensive, and I don't think it's coming down anytime soon. And I have mountains of the stuff here to go through. So I'm just going to drink my way through my cabinet before I start buying anything and let the market settle a bit. But Poitín, I think I could probably get in on the almost on the ground floor and start. I mean, we bring on Carl from the Whiskey Companion regularly to talk about the secondary market of whiskey, because collecting stuff is, people love collecting stuff, and there's almost seen as being a whiskey's for drinking, and it is, but there's no getting away from the fact that people collect stuff. And Poitín at the minute, I mean, you're collecting whiskey, and Poitín, you have the largest collection in the world. But people could come on behind you and collect the same amount. It's possible now to still collect pretty much all the Poitín available.
Yeah, you get most of it at this stage. Obviously, Michael up in Boylock has produced quite a range of Poitín in very, very small quantities. I hate saying that because now it's just going to get harder and harder to get bottles going forward. But yeah, you're right. It's possible. It's, when my collection was stolen, it was possible to replace 60-70% of it quite easily.
Yeah. So I mean, people who wanted to collect Poitín, you can jump on that straight away and not have to shell out tens of thousands of pounds to do it. You can do it for very, very little. I don't mean pennies.
By comparison,
it's pennies. But it might be pounds, or pounds and euros. It's not thousands to do it.
Yeah, and it's such a great spirit. It's so versatile as well.
I do love your passion about it, man. I do love your passion about it, and I love the fact that to put something like this on takes an awful lot of organisation, an awful lot of passion, an awful lot of drive. And when you got in contact with us about coming on the show, I was like, yeah, absolutely, come on. Because for me, the difference between Irish whiskey and Poitín's not that far apart. It's pretty much the same thing. And to give it a showcase where you can raise it up on an equal footing with Irish whiskey, I don't see why not. Why wouldn't we want to do that?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks so much.
No, that's anyone who's watched the show for any length of time knows that I've been saying about Poitín, and anyone that knows my Julie talks to her for about 2 seconds. She's always going, "Oh, you have to try Poitín." In the States, she's always telling people, and people in the States know nothing about Irish Poitín, nothing about it. And anybody who's a voice telling anybody, you never know. It's just that whisper effect. Someone says to the right person in Total Wine, who then says to somebody, "What's this?" and then says to a distiller, and the distiller goes, "Hang on, blah, blah, blah. Can we get distribution?" Who knows? Only takes somebody to say in the right ear. Ask the right person
absolutely.
the right question.
Yeah, totally right.
The whole brand could be lifted and by asking the right question.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on.
So one last time, Francis, before we call it a wrap tonight, the show, when's it on and how do people get tickets?
Okay, so it's on the 18th and 19th of November. That date was chosen quite specifically, by the way, because the 18th of November is World Poitín Day. So I thought it was quite poetic to launch the first show on that evening. It's happening in the complex in Dublin. If you want to get tickets, you can go onto the poitinnow.ie website and it'll link you to the tickets, or you can go straight to Eventbrite and type in Poitín Now and it'll bring you to the page to get tickets. And as I said, for this weekend, if anyone wants to use the promo code Irish Whiskey Review, they'll get 10% off the ticket price.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff.
Excellent stuff. Now, next week is a bit of a strange one for the show. Because next week, Justin, I, and a collection of reprobates are heading over to Islay on the Saturday. A 4-day trip to Islay. So the show is going to be a recorded show of when Justin and I visited Campbelltown and met up. We have these wonderful, wonderful distillery. I keep thinking, do I like any distillery better than Glen Scotia? And I struggle to find a distillery I like more than Glen Scotia. So next week we're going to give you, or because by the time the show will be going live, Justin and I will be pissed as farts. I will be absolutely paralytic drunk. Okay, so I'm just. Please drink sensibly, kids. All right, but we're going to let you in a secret. Me and him will be absolutely paralytic, but we'll try and get the show broadcast. If the show goes out and there's a live stream of me and Justin upside down in a bin in Glenarm, don't be surprised by this. But we went and done. Justin, how good was the even a Philistine like you has to admit.
Well, there was over 2 hours of content actually, but we'll cut it down to 40 minutes. You wanted 20 minutes, but it's just too good. The whiskey's too good. You can almost taste the whiskey in the tastings, even though you can't actually taste the whiskey.
Ian McAllister, the distillery manager, took me and Justin round for a tour of Glen Scotia. Oh my God, it was just amazing. I haven't seen the 40-minute footage, by the way. No. Justin's going to be putting out. So next week we're going to Islay, and we're going to do a quick live stream and introduce a couple of the people that are going with us, so they can say hello. And then a few weeks later we'll do a video of us going to Islay on the boat trip. Trust me, it's not to be missed. But next week is the Glen Scotia trip. Where even Justin's impressed by the whiskey. It's not even got an umbrella or nothing in it.
So we've got a couple of quick fire questions we'll have to run through, okay? 30-second answer, right? First question was, is whiskey a good investment?
Is whiskey a good investment? It depends what you buy and what you want to spend. If it's the same as everything else. If you want to buy, there are companies that will spread your money and invest it wisely for you, and they're probably as good an investment as something. The likes of, don't be investing with someone who has a bad reputation. That's the best way I can put that. If you want to invest in whiskey,
okay,
go with someone with a good reputation. If you message me, I'll maybe tell you something. But don't invest with people with bad reputations.
It's hot whiskey, all right? That's another question tonight that appeared.
What do you mean hot whiskey?
Is a hot whiskey okay? Yeah.
If you buy whiskey, drink whatever fuck way you want. I'm sorry, okay. I'm not. You tell me I'm not allowed to swear. If you buy whiskey, drink it whatever way you want. I for a long time liked whiskey with a drop of warm water in it. I thought it was probably a lot better than ice. Okay,
and Japanese whiskey, how did it come about? Obviously, that's connected with Campbell Pound, but tell the folks again because they haven't seen this show.
The Japanese, one guy came over, basically learned how to make whiskey in Scotland, fell in love, and took him and his wife back to Japan and started the whole Japanese whiskey thing. The Japanese people are fastidious about lots of things, and whiskey really appealed to them because they like a drink too.
And the final question we're going to give to Francis. Poitín, where can you get it? Where stores can you get it? North, south, east, west, Ulster, Munster, Connacht, and Leinster? Where can you get it? The legal stuff.
Celtic Whiskey Shop have a small selection. Irish malts have a good selection.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually up in Jonesborough today.
Nice.
There's lots of Bullcon up in McGill's up there. Yeah, but again, they'd be the main ones. Irish malts, Celtic Whiskey Shop, McGill's up north. They'd be my ports of call.
Okay,
and obviously go directly on the websites of the distillers as well.
Mm-hmm. And finally, I've got to say this: hot toddy is not medicinal, because a couple of whiskey distillers get wrapped for this week, saying it was medicinal. It's not medicinal. Your grandma might say it's medicinal. It might be medicinal, but it's not. All right.
I'm going to tell you this now. if you had to work with the people I've had to work with over the last some of them, most have been absolutely wonderful, but a couple over the last few weeks I've had to work with, if it wasn't for alcohol, there would be death. There would be deaths. Right.
And we're been asked to do a tour to Poitín Now. I'll be talking to Francis about that, but I don't think Marty will be able to make Poitín Now for operational reasons.
Operational reasons.
Operational reasons. Yes.
I have to go.
You're on assignment. You're on assignment.
Yeah,
he's on assignment. I'm on assignment. Listen, that's an hour and a half tonight. You get 50% extra free for no charge. If you
we missed a week. So we won't to the people.
Yeah, if we give 50% extra 2 weeks running, you get it back again. If you want to support us, it's buymeacoffee.com/Irish whiskey. Thank you very much for watching. Francis,
bye, guys.
Good night. Marty, good night. Talk to you during the week. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Telegram, Twitter, Instagram as well. And there's an audio playback of this before midnight on Anchor and Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts anywhere in the world. Good night. Cheers. Sláinte. Bottoms up.